Welcome back, guys. In this video, I am going to discuss a new concept which involves finding of sum of absolute differences of all the pairs in an array. So we would be given a sorted array and we need to consider every pair and we need to find the sum of the absolute differences of every pair which we can find in this array. So I have considered a sample case where we have 4 elements 1, 2, 5 and 7, and I have calculated the absolute differences of all the pairs which are possible inside this array. So I get my sum as 21. So I need to implement a function which returns me the value of sum. Now what I'm going to do is, first of all, it is pretty clear that the brute force solution would take O of n square time, as for every element at index I am going to check its add its difference with the elements from I plus 1 till n minus 1. So it's pretty easy to implement, so I'm not going to discuss that approach in this video. Rather, I would discuss a much more efficient approach to solve this question. Now what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to simplify all the terms inside this modulus. So the first term is 2 minus 1, second term is 5 minus 1, third term is 7 minus 1, fourth term is 5 minus 2, and fifth term is 7 minus 2, sixth term is 7 minus 5. So I have applied the modulus properties and I have written all these terms. Now I am going to construct a table in which I would include index, the array element at that index, and the number of times that element has been subtracted, and the number of times that element has been added while finding the absolute differences. So let me write the elements first. We have 0, 1, 2 and 3. Elements at these index are 1, 2, 5 and 7. Now we need to count the number of times this element has been subtracted. So we would see that 1 is being subtracted 3 times and it hasn't been added, so we would keep add count as 0. Now moving on to the next element, 2 is being subtracted 2 times and it has been added 1 time. Now moving on to the next element, that is 5. Now 5 is subtracted only 1 time, so the difference count would be 1, and it is being added 2 times, so add count becomes 2. Now for 7, the difference count would become equals to 0 and the add count would become equals to 3. Now from this table, what I'm going to do is, if we want to compute the sum of the absolute differences, I can clearly say that 1 is being subtracted 3 number of times, so I would add minus 1 times 3 inside the variable which I am storing. Let's say I am storing the sum in variable sum, so it would have values like minus 1 into 3 plus 1 into 0 plus minus 2 star 2 plus 2 into 1 plus minus 5 into 1 plus 5 into 2 plus minus 7 into 0 plus 7 into 3. Now if we calculate this value, it would come out as minus 3 plus 0 minus 4 plus 2 minus 5 plus 10 minus 0 plus 21. So this value would come out as equals to 21. So if we can count the number of times the value is being subtracted and the number of times the value is being added, we can clearly find the sum. So from this table which we have constructed, we can clearly find a pattern, or we can easily observe the number of times a particular element is being subtracted or how the particular element is being added. So if we are at index 0, we would clearly observe that the add count is 0, and similarly for the rest of the index available inside this array, add count is equals to the index at which we are standing. So we can clearly write this as equals to I. Now how can we calculate the number of times an element is getting subtracted? So for doing this, we know that if we are standing at a particular element, there are n-1 elements present inside this array. Now the number of times it would get subtracted would be equals to the number of available options minus the number of times it has been added. So I can write this as n minus I minus 1. So my difference count would become equals to n minus I minus 1, and my add count would become equals to I. So for any element I inside this array, what I need to do is I need to add value ai into I and subtract ai into n minus I minus 1, or you can say the number of times which we are going to subtract this value. So I'm going to iterate and I'm going to add this value, or if you simplify this term, you would get this value as 2i minus n plus 1. So I will iterate over this array and I would add the value ai into 2i minus n plus 1 inside my variable sum, and after looping I'm going to return this variable sum, and this would be my answer. So this approach comes handy when we are solving various questions, and it can be combined with multiple algorithms too. So I hope you guys learned something new from this video. Thank you guys for watching this video.